Dude, did y'all see it? Did you see it? Oh snaps, man, it is finally here. It's finally happened, and it is finally presented to you. If you haven't already seen this video, then you need to go ahead and watch it right now. But for those of you that may not have the time or probably already seen it, just want to get some input on what may be coming forth in the next following months as we continue to look forward to the new Nintendo that's coming out this March the 3rd. I actually am shocked. I'm shocked because the fact is that I would have not thought that this would be coming out sooner than I expected. I thought that, in fact, the Nintendo was going to come out in the time of, let's say, I don't know, the end of March. Because the fact is, I don't know, they just need more time to fully get into development. Actually, guys, it's actually a month and a half away from actually being in our possessions, and I am too stoked and excited to be able to share some of the information and just personally my opinions as to what could be possibly a good thing, and then again there was some bad things in terms of it. I mean, you know, but believe it or not, Nintendo has had such a great run. I mean, we've all grown up with Nintendo. We all have learned to love Mario, and we grew up with some of the great games that they've been able to establish throughout the years for us to play. But through some of the course of this time that Nintendo has been around, they have had some pitfalls. I mean, trust me. I mean, a lot of us was excited about the Wii, the new motion control, being able to actually play games in a way where you can actually get up off your couch and actually move around and maneuver and play games with your friends and family and in a party environment. But then after a while, it didn't meet up with the expectations, like graphic wise and the third party support like the Xbox and PlayStation had back in the early 2000s. And so when they finally released the Wii U, and God rest in peace in the Wii U, by far one of the best systems I think, and an improvement to an extension of the Wii, I just think that it just did not get the promotion and love that it deserved. And so now we finally come to the Switch. Is it really all that hyped up to be? Or is this just something, honestly, that's just going to be one of those repeat that the Wii did? This is what you're going to find out as you continue to watch this video. Did a hundred of notes because the fact is it was a lot of information according to the conference that was given. So if you have not watched it, you should be able to see it in the link below where they actually give out the actual live presentation of some of the games. But for those of you that already watched it, or maybe having, you know, just a snippet or not having to go through a 2-hour long conference, then this information is going to provide to you. Now, as we already know, the Nintendo Switch is actually coming out March 3rd. Retail price for this actual bundle is going to be $299. That's right, $299. Now, the question that you may be wondering, okay, is it going to come with games? That's the actual question that I was having a question about as well, because the fact is, it didn't really promote any type of games that was going to be coming with. Being at the fact that, you know, the Wii had Wii Sports. At least you had something to play in order to actually learn the motion controls. Well, they didn't really publicly announce that there was going to be any games available to you. There might be a case where they might have a game or something for you to at least be able to learn the game and actually invite new players who never played it to be able to learn the new controls that the Switch is going to offer. Conjuring up was some of the specs of this system. Now, they have actually allowed you now to be able to take the tablet, which, as you've seen in the trailers, where you can literally take the screen from its base and actually hook these controllers together in order to create a hybrid, which is allowing you to play the game portably from what you would normally see on a television into the palm of your hands. Now, that is something that is revolutionary, because now you actually have a system in the palm of your hands that can be turned into a Nintendo DS. Something that's very, in a sense, okay, is unique in its own right, because now you can, it's something that the Wii U did, right? But the fact of the matter is because the hardware and the power of the system has higher graphics, higher resolution, allowing you to be able to play games like Skyrim now, which is a big game. A lot of other great titles that are coming on, which I'm going to explain further in this video. But the fact of the matter is that it allows you to take the game anywhere from wherever you are and be able to play in the comfort of your hands. Now, the question that I did have was that how far is the distance is? Is this going to be played on Wi-Fi, or is this going to be something that is going to allow you to have to be at a certain amount of distance from the systems? They didn't really go into details about that. But what we do know is this, is that the battery life has extended just a little bit. Now, from my experience with the Wii U only allows you to be able to play on its tablet for about 4 to 5 hours, depending on gameplay and how aggressively you're actually using the actual game. Now, the same has been such on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch has now allowed you to be able, depending on the game, has allowed you to at least play anywhere between 2.5 hours to up to 6.5 hours. To some degree, it's not much really of an improvement in my opinion, but I just feel like, you know what, okay, I granted you're playing on a higher powerful system, so it's going to require more power. So in an extent, it's only necessarily to play if you're going to be playing for a short period of time. But any hardcore gamer such as myself, 2.5 hours is not going to be long enough. I mean, I'm telling you, any game that you're going to be immersed in, such as Skyrim, is going to require its proper time, and it's not going to be 2.5 hours is not going to be enough. I'm willing to bet that particular game in particular will be one of the ones that's 2.5 hours. Now, again, this is not a negative thing. It just really depends on the actual individual. So, going on into the list, they have these components called the Joy-Con. The two controllers that you see when you're seeing on the advertisement, where the actual players are detaching the controllers from the side of the console and being able to individually use one of the joysticks as a controller. That is called a Joy-Con. The Joy-Con is a component that allows you to do motion sensor just like Wii Plus controller, and allowing you to be able to use it as not only as a controller, but also you can be able to play with friends from anywhere you go. They have 3 different levels of how to actually play it. The TV mode, which is basically you playing from the comfort of your home. The tabletop mode, which is what you see in the trailer when they're at the park playing from the screen on the actual tablet. And then the handheld mode, which you pretty much take the 2 Joy-Cons, stick it together, and you actually have a handheld device in your hand. Because of that opportunity, it allows people to be creative on how they play their games and the convenience of how they want to play it based off wherever they are in their home or out and about. It's just a great way and a unique way on how to play. It comes with 2 controllers, so that's a good benefit. Even though they're offering $299, you do have the option to now play with 2 controllers because of the fact of the Joy-Con being an extension to be used as a separate controller for each individual side, for each individual. Talking about the games. Now, that's the most important factor, because even though the fact that Nintendo Switch has such great specs and improved graphics to be able to support some third-party games such as Skyrim and other games that's in the list, they didn't really go too full details as to other titles, but based off the trailer, they can see that they're offering games like EA Sports, 2K18, FIFA, you know, more games like that people enjoy, like the sports games that you enjoy. You can now be able to play that on the Switch. Now, I can imagine how exciting that would actually be, being at the fact that for those of you that love sports games, can be able to interact and play a game in a motion control type of way. I'm really excited how they're going to be able to do that. Now, according to the conference, when they actually released the 2 games that they're branching off to extend the full proportion of the Wii Switch components, they released these 2 games which is called 1-2 Switch. Now, this is a component game that actually allows you to be able to play the game without you necessarily having to look at a screen. It allows you to have a one-on-one interaction where you can actually play with an individual, and based off the sensory of the actual controller, it allows you to be able to put you in an immersion of playing a game without actually looking at the screen, but actually allowing you to interact one-on-one with the individual that has the other controller. They showed a component in the trailer where you allow you to be able to play a game without necessarily having to actually look at the individual, look at the actual screen. How they're gonna do that, I'm really excited on how they're incorporating that. But because of the fact that they're allowing you to be immersed without you having to be involved in a screen, I think that's just a great innovative way for allowing you to be able to play with friends, and allows other interactions with people who may not necessarily play video games can actually enjoy this system as well. So it's a great party system. As Nintendo, you know it, they're great for the party games. So with that feature alone, it's going to be a great entity for those game nights for you guys to be able to get together, jump on the Switch, and not even have to plug in on the TV. You can actually play with the games inside of the component device itself with the controller sensorizing mechanism. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but that is just dope, because the fact is we can now play without having to look at the screen. Okay, wonderful way of how to play, right? I guess, right? Then they have another game that was called Arms, which is basically a fighting simulator in its own right. It's just basically you being able to play a game in a way like a shooter, first-person shooter, but now you're actually more engaged in control of how the way you fight, because it controls every sensory mechanism of how you're playing, and also it'll put you in a position to actually now be in more control in the way that you punch. And because of the fact the new sensory on the actual motion controllers itself, the Joy-Con, it now can track and move and monitor how you're moving your fist and how you're punching, and it demonstrate that based off how you're going to be fighting your opponent in the game as well. So that's an actually cool. So that's an actually cool little feature. I thought it was okay. I mean, I have to really just play it to really get the feel of it, but based off that, I mean, it was okay, I guess, in a sense. So the games that they said that they were going to release in the following summer, this is not games that are actually coming out at the beginning of launch. So these games, the first game that they finally released out is Splatoon 2. Just with having Splatoon as a future title that they're going to be releasing for the game alone is just worth it. I mean, Splatoon 1 for the Wii U was well worth it. I loved it, played it countless times over and over, and it's honestly a great shooter. It's fun for anyone who just want to plug and play and just get into grinding and actually play a shooter where you're not having to do the daily grind like Call of Duty, or if you want to just have something fun, Splatoon is a great game that you can be able to plug into and play. And then we have Xenoblade that's coming out for the Nintendo Switch, that's coming out following this fall. We seen Mario Kart 8, which we don't know if whether that's going to be a re-release from what was on Wii U, or is it going to actually be a game that is going to be in its own right, more improvements, more DLC that's going to be included. We don't know, but all we do know is that Mario Kart 8 will be on the Nintendo Switch. Hopefully they make a Mario Kart 9, because gosh, Mario 8 was a masterpiece. And then also Fire Emblem. For those of you that love Fire Emblem, the greatest RPG on the Nintendo system since the beginning of time, Fire Emblem will actually be out as a time of release. There has not been announced at the time of that conference, but we do know that the Fire Emblem game will be coming out soon. And then we have the most important game that everyone's been waiting for since last year. The game that we've all been desiring and wanting to play since the Wii, the Wii U, the Wii Nintendo GameCube. It is finally here. Zelda, the Breath of Wind, will be coming out on the time of launch. And that is awesome, because the fact is this is going to be a great game. Based off the trailers, we all know how big the game is going to be, as they've been announced that it's going to be as big or even bigger than Skyrim. Definitely be allowing a lot of replayability in that game. So just for that game, for those of you that love Zelda, are definitely gonna want to pick that up, because that game is gonna be amazing. And so now getting into the cons, these are the things that I did have concerns about. Going into the price tag, let's just go into the price tag. Now, $2.99 for the games. Now, of course, we already know that Nintendo is giving out releasing the system at $2.99, which is actually not bad for a system that's coming out for the very first time, compared to the Xbox One and the PS4 that actually released when they first came out, was at a retail price at $400 to $500 a piece. Given it that Nintendo is releasing their hardcore system at $2.99 is not a bad deal. However, because of the fact, if you want to decide to go ahead and get a game such as Zelda, that's going to be separate. So there's not, even though Zelda is being released of the day of launch, there's not technically any announcement as whether or not if Zelda is going to be a bundle pack. Because of the fact is, since the fact that you're going to be paying the $299 for the system alone with tax, you're already over about $400 and something just in buying the game and the system. Now, for those of you that want to incorporate motion play with some of the games, because some of the games require you to have 2 Joy-Cons in your hand. Now, because of that, you're going to have to buy 2 extra Joy-Cons. Now, the Joy-Cons, if you look on the actual website itself, the Joy-Con bundle for 2 Joy-Cons is actually $79.99. $79.99 for 2 Joy-Cons, and for one individually is $49.99. $49.99 for a Joy-Con controller? Really? So that means to tell me that if I'm gonna go ahead and buy 2 extra Joy-Cons in a game, that's roughly already over $500 and something to truly get a full experience of the actual system. To some people, they say, well, you know what? That's typical. That's what we pay for any type of hardware game that's coming out for the first time. Well, here's my thing. Because of the fact they haven't really announced any full games that's actually going to be coming out, they did say, however, that they're going to come out with about 80 plus games that are already in development. But when they're going to be published, we do not know. They only announced a few games in the actual conference about what's actually coming out. And some of those games are actually further down the line. So for anybody who's going to go and rush out and buy the game, it's only going to be for those who actually want to actually play a Switch first coming out, or for those of you that just love Zelda and want to get it right away. Now, not everybody plays Zelda, and unfortunately, that may not be enough for people to go out and fork out $400 and something for an actual system right now, because of the fact a lot of the games that people are more keen to wanting to play are not actually out. And for those of you who are more looking and concerned about the third-party support and exactly of whether or not if they're going to be pushing more games that you actually want to play and how well it's actually going to be running, for $300 plus whatever games that comes out with, for the $400 up front just for buying the system in a game alone, it may not really justify for the price right now. That's just depending on the actual individual. Because of the fact is, Nintendo has had a history of having these high spikes and down low. It's not really something where they're going to really have to prove themselves in this Nintendo Switch. I must say, for some of you, I know that you're excited. I know that I'm stoked for one. But for some of you, you got to be in a convincing stage. And I get it. I completely understand. Because first and foremost, I mean, how many of you guys still play your Wii? I'm actually curious of that in the comments below. I mean, I know for a majority of you guys are you guys play the Wii maybe a few times and then you went straight back to the Xbox One and the PlayStation. So is it going to be enough for you to decide whether or not to buy this system? Well, we just have to know based off how well the system is actually running. How well does it respond to actually playing without you necessarily being in your house? That's the major factor in the case, because the fact that they're promoting portable play is going to have to really be able to play long enough and actually support a long distance functionality to be able to play from away from your base of your home. I'm just really convinced, and I'm really just curious as to how that's going to actually work, but we will have to find out further along in the details. So I'm actually curious, what are your thoughts for this next coming months? Are you going to be the one that actually goes out and buy the Nintendo Switch, or are you going to actually wait to actually see what new games that actually come out and how well it performs in order for you to cuff up that $400 in order to buy actual game and actual system itself? Leave your comments below. I'm actually interested into finding out more information about how you think. And like I said, if you like this video, definitely like and subscribe. More information and details will be coming up in the following videos regarding the Nintendo Switch and more games that follow. This again is Pop-Tarts and Onions. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. If you haven't already seen the Nintendo Switch conference, you can definitely check it out at the link below here, which will send you to the link to the direct confidence that'll actually tell you the details about what is actually going to be transpiring for the upcoming system that's coming out this March the 3rd this year. I'm excited. I love it. I hope you guys enjoy it, and definitely look forward to what's going to be happening this next coming months. All right, signing off. I see you at the next video. Thank you for watching, and God bless.